going from comparison to collaboration and having the mindset that I am better together with someone else and celebrating the differences. Like, can we go from difficulty, like looking at differences and saying that they're not good and they divide us, is what you always say, right? They divide us, to saying, let's celebrate them and they make us stronger together. Welcome to the Hope and Hairspray podcast. I'm Rhodi Cate.
And I'm Kelly Osborn. Our minds will always believe what we tell them. This podcast will help give you truth, give you hope, and also give you a little hairspray to make it all stick.
Let's jump in.
Hello. Welcome. We are in episode number 5.
Yes, 5. I know.
All
One
fingers.
hand.
One
Yep.
hand.
Yep.
We've got all the episodes. So
I think we should stop at 5. So I don't have to use another hand. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You're still here.
I am still
super
here.
proud of
I'm
you.
still
Outside
here.
of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Doing it for
Right.
you.
You're doing
it for
it
you.
just for me, huh?
No, I'm doing it for everyone, because in this episode in particular is a just great topic. It kind of piggybacks from the last episode that we did, which was, what was the name of it?
Truth about self.
Thank you.
So, right. Yes.
Yes,
It's okay.
truth about yourself.
You're
I'm bad
weird.
at
She's
naming.
weird about titles.
I can't name
Super
things.
weird about titles.
Yeah. Truth about self. And then this is, what is this episode? Tell us.
Stop comparing. So this is a comparison episode. So I want to start today with a quote from Teddy Roosevelt. And he said, comparison is the thief of joy.
Oh, say that again.
Yeah. Comparison is the thief of joy.
That's strong.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a ton of quotes out
Right.
there for comparison. Right. We could compare comparison quotes if we wanted to.
We could.
But that is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Easy
Yeah.
to remember.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Right.
Right. And for women, oh my goodness.
We're bad at that. Or we're good at it. I'm not sure.
We're good bad at it.
Yeah. We're good bad at
it is, I think, woven through the fabric of who we are.
Yeah.
Like, even just walking down the street, we literally have that whole person's story as they're coming towards us. Oh my gosh, they're all put together. Look at their hair. Oh my gosh, they have really cute boots. And, it's so damaging.
Mm-hmm.
It does no good to you.
No.
Or anyone around you.
Right.
So somebody out there needs to hear this today.
Absolutely.
And we're about small moves. We talk about that at the end of every episode, making small moves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what small micro adjustments
Can you make?
Because we're about achievable, attainable, and that we can repeat.
Right.
And build on.
Right.
So comparison. It can be a deep one.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And your first example was really just, from a physical perspective, which women do all the time. And
They
certainly
don't even
media.
know somebody.
Yeah. And it's just, it is dreadful.
Yeah.
But then there's also when you know someone and you're comparing, and I think it starts at home. I mean, like, I remember being little and comparing myself. I have an older sister. By the way, we haven't said this. I do have an older sister, and Kelly has a husband named Troy, and my sister's name is Troy. So it's always interesting to do that. But I have a great sister, and I remember being little, and I must have compared myself to her. Well, she was, faster, like she could run faster. She was athletic. She was like cheerleader on a basketball team. I don't know what else. Volleyball, I think. Track, maybe. Wow, she did a lot. I didn't get to see a lot of it because she was in boarding school. We lived abroad. It was, our life was different when we lived out of the country because my dad's work. But she, but I knew she did all those things. And I would compare. And then my mom would say that everyone, you're all special. You have something special. You have special things that she can't do. And she has special things that I can't do. I think it helped,
job, Mom.
but it was a great job. But I think, it's
But
hard
I think
to
it's
believe,
natural.
but
I
it's
think
hard to believe almost, right? You're always comparing. I kind of years, and I'm still sometimes I'm like, oh, wow, she does some great things, but I probably, actually, that's not true. She does, I'm sorry. it's good. She does good things. She's lovely. I just, I don't feel the need to compare. I know we're really different. She says that, kind of like you and I are very different, but my sister and I are really different too.
Awesome.
And so, but yeah, it was a good thing. Good mom. She did a good job.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love hearing stories about that. I had twins. Luckily, they're a boy girl, and I should double check. Did they ever feel like there was comparison there?
Oh yeah, that'd be a great question.
When you're twins, you would think. I think it would be more so for boys, boy twins or girl twins, where they would feel maybe a little more. I didn't have a sister, and I was the only child for several years,
right?
So I didn't really have that growing up. But comparison. So what we're going to do is throughout all these episodes is help you switch your lens, how you view things, how you view self. We talked about the truth about self, and today is comparing. Okay. Let's be true. Are you a comparer? I mean, that is a question you need to ask yourself. Are you a comparer? Do you compare yourself? It's one thing to do it flippantly, like, oh, wow, my gosh, I wish I had hair like that.
Or even truthfully, like you do that better than I do. But I mean,
truthfully,
I know there's, I mean, there's some business things that you do that are like, I'm just bad at.
Yeah.
I'm just bad at.
And girl, but as far as business, you can do a mad Excel spreadsheet.
You know what?
Let's be honest.
You
do better spreadsheets.
So much though. It's weird. Isn't it weird?
That's exactly what my husband would say, and my son, and
so much.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Because then I don't have to do math.
But okay, I can hand that to you. Mm-hmm. So one thing that we would not be here if we started out our relationship based on negative comparisons. Right. Like I'm not as good at. Right. Jealousy. Right. I wish I had. Mm-hmm. So the one thing that we want you to switch your lens on is, oh, I don't have that. But guess what? We're sitting here, so I do have that.
Right.
We just took 1 + 1 and made 3 because we are better together. We have a different lens. We had appreciation, right? We could have, of the other person's talents and maybe a mad desire to have them be a part. So I could have been like, corporate, I can't connect with her. Like she does things all standard operating procedures and I'm just a small business owner and I just fly by the seat of my pants and don't have anything written down. And I could have gotten all in that headspace that comparison does because it steals our joy. Right. It makes us feel inferior.
It does. Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of feelings that come along with comparison. But when we switch our lens, we can see potential.
Yep.
So what potential did you see? Did you go through the same emotions like in your work relationships or even when we met? Like did something switch for you when we met?
Well, so if, I think our story, Hope and Hairspray, people ask, Hope and Hairspray, like, what does that mean? They think it's cool, I think, which is good.
It's super fun.
In my mind, they think it's cool. Yeah. Our story is we did meet at a business event and I would say I compared because you introduced yourself, I'm Kelly Osborn and I live in Hope,
Michigan.
Exactly. But when I heard that, I was like, oh, she is so full of positivity. She's so, I could tell that your beliefs were strong, and you were strong. And I'm not saying I'm not strong, but just the positivity and how strong you were in your convictions and the way you portrayed yourself. I was like, ooh, I could be more like that. So wasn't it terribly negative? Okay. But I did have that thought.
Like I should be more like that?
Yeah, a little bit of a should.
Okay.
Yeah. Or a want. I'm not sure. That might have been that was probably more like a want.
I don't think that's a bad comparison when you want to be more like somebody.
Right.
It can be.
Right.
It can be.
But you can take it too far, right?
Yep.
So that was that piece.
The world does not need two Kelly Osbournes, please. That'd be bad.
I did not say that. I did not say that. You said that. Okay. Then really listening to you, because at that time I wasn't. Okay. In time I had my business, but my business isn't always focused on Clifton Strengths. And so Clifton Strengths is a tool that I use, and obviously we know that you use, that it's about, how do we know what we naturally do well? How do we capitalize on that and do all of that? And when I met you, you were like full on into that. And you had some goal and achieved it. What was your goal?
How do you, I coached 100 people in 100 by the end of the year. So whatever that month was.
Yeah.
My goal
30
was
days?
to coach 100 people by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did it. And so for me, I was like, wow. I mean, at the time I didn't know how much of a get it done, kind of person. Woman,
Yeah.
you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
She get
Blessing
her done.
and a curse.
Get her done. She can get it done. And that's not something I do naturally well. I tend to think. I tend to be more strategic. And I sometimes have problems, honestly, motivating myself to get something done. And so when I heard that, I was a little probably thinking, wow, she has so much motivation to do that. And I was like, I probably couldn't do that. I don't know that I could have. And reality is I didn't need to. I ran my business the way I needed to run my business. I had my relationships. I worked the pieces. But yeah, of course, it kind of goes through your brain. Maybe we're not human and women, and
Sure.
that's just natural. But
Sure.
when we let it dwell, it's bad.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not the truth.
If it's not the truth.
Right. So we typically as women see comparison.
Right.
And it's damaging.
It is.
Right. So if we can help you switch that lens to be a better version of who you've been created to be, and be who you are. If you're an arm, be a great arm. So I think Abraham Lincoln has a quote, whatever you are, be a good one.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
he does.
And
I just saw that.
yes, you think, oh my gosh, that's so simple. There's a lot of mental things that are going on, right? That can get in your way, right? And there's going to be a lot of distractions. There's social media. Oh, everybody has it all put together. Do they?
You know what? Here's the deal. We don't know. We're not in their heads. And so I always say humans are very, very creative. Humans are very, very creative. So are women. So we are going to make up a great story.
Gosh.
About whatever it is. And so, we make up stories and we're often wrong. So why spend your energy doing that? And especially in the case of comparison, like you don't know what's going on in their world you just
no.
And on the other side, you don't know what's going on the road. Like someone speeds by you and cuts you off.
Same thing.
Right.
You're still comparing. Yeah. You're still comparing. Right. Like, oh my gosh, what are they thinking?
Right.
Maybe they're on their way to the hospital.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Like comparison can go on both sides of the coin. So what I love about our relationship is that if we went with our natural tendencies of making up stories, like you just said, oh my goodness, they probably have it all. She is all together and she gets things done. And I was like, wow, she has corporate structure and routine. And if we stop there.
And if we had said, that she doesn't have room in her life for someone new.
Oh, the stories.
Yeah. Or like she wouldn't want to do something together.
Me.
Right. With me. Yes.
Right. How many stories are women telling themselves about that person, about themselves, about instead, right? So we can be better together if we can then cross that bridge.
Right.
And we did. So part of our story is that night, we were at a conference. I chose to just Uber that week, and Rhodi had a car, and she had to go to the store. And I don't ever pack hairspray because it's bigger than 3 ounces in my carry-on. And I said I needed hairspray, and she said, "Well, let's go to the store together." And so we decided to take that step, and we have never looked back.
We haven't. It was really a fun ride. Why did we laugh so much? What were we saying in the car? I mean, let's be clear. It was like 8 minutes. I mean, how much could we get accomplished in 8 minutes? Apparently, a lot.
But let's think about that, right? If you decide, I'm not going to get to know that person. She doesn't have space for me. Right. She is not like me.
Right.
We were very different, right? Personally and professionally. So instead, we decided to take a chance.
We did.
Which is a big theme. We do women's weekend sabbaticals. We have 7 planned next year. 3 of them in Michigan and 4 of them throughout the country. That is something that never would have happened if we didn't take a chance. So we're big on taking chances. It's our theme all next year on our sabbaticals. And it also it's because it's true for us. We took a chance. Right. We didn't let our differences get in the way.
In fact, I'll go a step further. We looked at our differences as a way to make us stronger together, better together. Right? I lean into Kelly a lot. She's high in her what she believes in and her faith, and I use that as an example and a model every day, and I so appreciate that about you.
My pleasure.
And then, really, from a business perspective, she really can get things done. And you have I don't know how many businesses you have. So you've
plenty.
Yeah, she sometimes says like she has more businesses than children, their spouses, and grandchildren, and they have 5 children. So whatever that number is, it's a lot.
A lot.
Anyway,
baker's dozen.
There you go.
Yes.
So So to me, I'm like, I appreciate that because you will say, hey, what if we did it? Like, what if we did it now? What's getting us in the way? And so it does. It makes us so much. It makes me stronger, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I mean, we've spent hundreds of hours this past few months planning our next steps with Hope and Hairspray in the sabbatical weekends, and her spreadsheets alone bring me comfort.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
They do. Our lineup is there. Like, she is my brain vacuum. Like, she can strategize. I'm just like, all these things are just like, what order do they go in? And in her brain, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. So I rely on you heavily for that component. I've never had that. And so it's comforting. So I have a choice.
Yeah.
I could be threatened by it
and
be like, oh my gosh, I wish I could be as good as Rhodi at that, which can be our natural tendency as women.
I think so.
Or I can be like, thank the good Lord in heaven. I don't have to do this because she is so good at that.
Right.
So I lean into her, and that's where just that math adds up like crazy.
Well, which I think is interesting because this math that I appreciate about you too. I don't like invoicing and doing all these things. And Kelly has a number of different businesses, catering. She's been in catering for years. I mean, there's so many, but the idea is, oh, that's easy. I'll just, send out the invoice. And I'm like, that, I mean, it would stop me in my tracks. It would. And
if I couldn't invoice, there would be no money in the bank account.
You know what? I understand that. I do.
Yeah.
And it does affect my bank account sometimes, but it is such a drag to do it. And the fact that you said, oh, that's easy breezy. I was like, wow, I talk about feeling lighter because I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to make me do it, are you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank gosh.
No.
Okay. I appreciate it.
And this is where paying attention to what fills you up and what drains you.
Okay.
Right? Let's have these conversations. That doesn't mean you can always get away with not doing the dishes. We always say that at our corporate catering company. Like, okay, y'all have to take times doing the dishes.
Yeah.
But then we've found people over the years, they're like, I love to do dishes. And we're like, for here.
Yeah.
Right? It's finding people who love to do the things that that drain you.
And that I'm not that person. I'm not going to do the dishes. I mean, I'll do the dishes, but I'm not the person that's going to say, I love to do the dishes. Let me do the dishes.
So pay attention to those things. Like, what can you figure out? And I have all the people that I work with. We do this a lot with our clients. Is where are you spending your time? You need to figure out what you do love, what fills you up, And then look for that in other people. That might be a good on-ramp to switching your lens of comparison of, oh, I could collaborate with them. They're really good at that task, because either I'm not very good in it, I'm not proficient in it, it doesn't fill me up, or I really suck at it, right?
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Right.
Like, just know that.
Right.
Back to truth about self that we talked about on our last episode. We dug really deep into that one. But knowing that's a foundational episode to this one, knowing that helps you be like, wow, this is what I am good at. We talk a lot about Clifton's strengths. It's Gallup's performance assessment. It tells you what you're good at. And there's 4 different domains. There's executing, strategic, relationship, and influencing. And it's beautiful when you put ours 2 up, they're exactly complement each other.
Yeah.
She has a ton of strategic. I have a ton of executing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I need that. I need somebody who has more of a planning, and you need somebody who has we're going to get this done.
So what we did was we went from comparison to collaboration. And I have mentioned this before, if you've been listening, I was really so lonely working in my own business. Not saying I didn't have great clients and I enjoyed those interactions, because I did, but I was lonely, like doing the business part by myself. And there are some things I knew I wasn't good at. And there's still some stuff we together don't know. There's some crazy marketing things out there, y'all. Anyway, I mean,
I'm glad Canva added AI.
Yes. Yeah. So there's some good stuff happening as well. But yeah, so going from comparison to collaboration and having the mindset that I am better together with someone else and celebrating the differences. Like, can we go from difficulty, like looking at differences and saying that they're not good and they divide us, is what you always say, right? They divide us, to saying, let's celebrate them and they make us stronger together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd love for like this week to people really stop and think about that.
Right. So,
Whatever they need to say to themselves. Like, maybe a small thing is, don't look at someone else's paper, right? We learned that going up. Eyes on your own paper. You're good. These are things that you're good at. That's good.
We saw that at our sabbatical weekend that we just did recently.
Right.
We did an exercise where you're doing something on paper, and we saw people
They were
looking over and we're like,
no,
stop. This is your work of art. It's, am I doing it right? So it's switching the lens. We're all about switching the lens to be the better version of who you were meant to be, and being better together, collaborating. You can't do it all.
You can't do it all.
Oh my gosh. If I had to do it all, and believe me, I've tried, then I'm just mediocre at a lot of things. Or I could be really good in the areas that I bring to the table. But you then have the freedom to bring your excellence. And that starts, I think, a very pivotal point in being able to collaborate is vulnerability. Like, I am very comfortable saying, I'm not good at those areas. And I appreciate that you are. It's a win-win-win. It's a win for you. You get to do more of what you were meant to do. It's a win for me. I don't have to struggle through that area. And it's a win to those we are serving with our combined gifts.
Right.
We're going to be able to serve 3 times more effectively than 1-time effectiveness.
Absolutely.
Right. If you bring your one and I bring my one, automatically, like, it's 3 or 4.
Right. Absolutely. That's true. That's true. And I think that with our mindset of going from comparison to collaboration, you said something that I thought was powerful. I wanted to bring it back, is you have the freedom to, what did you say? You have the freedom to be who you are.
Yeah.
So if your lens was through, I can, what is that?
I have to be you.
Yeah. Free to be me. Was that the 70s?
Yeah,
free to be
maybe.
me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to
I
say
thought
I
you were
wasn't
only
around.
32.
I know. Was I? I was kind of around in the 70s. Okay. I was
All
young.
right.
Not
Yeah.
that young. Okay, whatever. Anyway, the free to be me, that freedom that it takes, if you use that lens, think about how you would see comparison versus I'm not good enough lens. I need to be someone else lens. One, you'd be like blissfully happy, and the other one, you'd be
Exhausting.
exhausted and just sad as all get out, really. Let's be
Right.
clear.
I mean, you would just be,
It's draining.
yeah. You'd be circling the drain for sure. So
Yeah.
we ask our listeners
Yeah.
every week to take one small step that week.
That's right.
So what do you think would be a good one, a small step in the stop comparing? Like what can they do to use a different lens, to switch their lens, right? To see a little more clearly, to see a different option.
Right. You know me and sticky notes. I do love them. I love me some sticky notes.
Sticky notes.
Well, I'm creative and
So
out of
creative.
sight.
So creative. Thank goodness she's creative because I am not. Yeah.
You are. I don't know why. Why do you say you're not creative? That's
You're
so
more
crazy.
artistic.
Okay.
See, I'm comparing.
See,
But I'm not
Here's an
saying,
example.
yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. I am a designer. I do
Yeah,
like to
you
design.
do.
I like to put
Yeah.
sets together. I like to flip houses and to design the layout and that. So creative, I guess. So my lens is I had to be artistic, and I see you as very artistic, but I appreciate it.
yeah.
So what can our listeners do?
Well, because
Because it'll keep coming up.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not perfect. We're not perfect
No.
at this. That's for sure.
So out of creative means usually the mind is out of sight, out of mind. So reminders are super helpful. And often when I'm working with creative women, it's, hey, do this art and put it up in your space to remind you. So I would recommend, if this is a struggle for you, is a simple, even sticky that just says eyes on my paper. Whatever words today really
Right.
got you, write those down in a big, nice marker, eyes on paper, or, comparison with a big red slash. Look
Yep.
for
joy.
right?
It's a thief of
Yep.
joy.
You can do the quote.
Right.
People
Yep.
like you like words, so the
Do like words.
the quote would be great to have, maybe on your phone. So I think
Yeah.
the first thing is maybe for this particular. This is tough. This is tough.
It's a tough one
Is awareness,
because
and
it's usually deep rooted. This
Yeah.
one's deep rooted.
And the step to make for you to do things differently is to change the way you think about it. So that's the step around comparison. You have to truly believe comparison is something that you don't want to do. And that when you come across someone who's different, who does something that maybe you wish you could do, that you just celebrate them with
Right.
love in your heart. And maybe that's another step you could take is those people around you who do something that you would like to do is just to celebrate them and say, you do that so well. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. It's perfect.
I think that'd be a good step.
I love that.
Okay.
So thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.